I swear on my dead cactus and every crusty gym sock my ex ever left in my apartment. If the truth about my family ever hit the news, it would start with a doorbell, a casserole, and a camera crew. And not just any casserole. I'm talking about my zucchini-crusted, cheese-slathered Sunday-hangover cure that had just hit peak golden brown when some lady from Channel 9 knocked like she was serving a warrant and asked, "Did you know your brother was involved in the Lakewood incident?" I dropped the damn casserole. Name's Jenna Wyatt. I'm 29. And my family's favorite indoor sport is pretending we're the American dream, complete with fresh-cut lawns, matching pajamas at Christmas, and one teeny tiny felony hidden in the crawl space of our perfect little lives. I didn't commit it, but I knew. Oh, I knew, and I played along like a good little disappointment, because when your parents are busy polishing the golden boy's halo, you learn real fast that being the truth teller makes you the problem. The golden boy in question, my younger brother Nathan, everyone's favorite son, prom king, future lawyer. If you asked my mom, he practically peed holy water. But when he was 17, he screwed up so bad it should have ruined his life. It should have ruined all our lives. Except it didn't, because my parents made it disappear, just like that. Poof, vanished. And me? I was told to shut up and smile, that it was a family matter, that the truth wouldn't help anyone, least of all Nathan. They said if I really loved him, I'd understand. And for a while I actually did. But here's the thing about buried secrets. They don't stay buried. Not forever. Especially not when the past finds a megaphone and a press badge. So now there's a story spreading online, a name resurfacing, and a question on everyone's lips that's pointed straight at me. Why didn't you say anything? Because I was 17. Because I was scared. Because I didn't know how to fight 3 adults who already decided what the story would be. Because sometimes loyalty isn't love, it's just fear with a prettier name. But I'm not 17 anymore. I've got rent to pay, a backbone made of burned bridges, and 10 years of repressed rage that's suddenly feeling very flammable. So yeah, I remember what Nathan did. I remember what my parents covered up. And I remember exactly where I was that night. And if they think I'm going to keep playing dumb now that the skeleton's crawling out of the closet, they better start praying I don't hand it a microphone. You ever get that sinking feeling in your stomach when your past shows up wearing a name tag and a badge? Because that's exactly what happened when Officer Reyes knocked on my door 2 days after the casserole incident and asked if we could talk. Not the scary Miranda rights version of talk, yet, but the kind where they smile too much and write everything down. He had that calm, overly rehearsed tone that says, I already know the answer. I just want to hear you lie to my face. I let him in because I figured, screw it. If this house is going down, I might as well be the one lighting candles. So, he said, flipping open a little notebook like we were about to plan brunch. You were 17 when the Lakewood property incident happened, right? Bam, just like that. No warm-up, no small talk, straight to Lakewood. In case you're not local or not cursed with lifelong family trauma, the Lakewood property incident is how the news politely refers to the night someone torched an old lakeside boathouse owned by a retired judge. No one got hurt, thank God, but it caused major damage and kicked up enough drama to keep our tiny town whispering for months. The case went cold. Until now. I didn't even blink. I was. Why? He gave me this tight smile like he knew I was dancing on a landmine. Because new witness statements suggest your brother Nathan might have been involved, and your name came up in relation to a possible cover-up. Cover-up. That word hit like a slap. I hadn't heard it since my mom hissed it through gritted teeth the morning after the fire, while Nathan was still shaking in the laundry room and reeking of gasoline. I remember everything. The smell of burnt timber still lodged in my sinuses. The look on Nathan's face, equal parts terror and teenage arrogance. I also remember my parents scrambling like it was the freaking Olympics of deceit. My dad made a call to his golf buddy who just happened to work in the mayor's office. My mom bleached Nathan's hoodie like she was trying to erase sin with fabric softener. And me? I was told to lie. He was home all night, they said. He panicked, but no one needs to know. So I did. I told the cops he was with me watching reruns of Friends and eating popcorn, like a damn idiot. Back in the present, Officer Reyes asked, "Would you be willing to confirm your original statement?" Confirm. Lie again, he meant. And here's the thing, I almost did. Not for Nathan, Definitely not for my parents, but for 17-year-old me who thought silence would finally make her lovable. Instead, I said, "Can I get a lawyer?" His eyebrows lifted. "You're not under investigation, just helping with the timeline. Still, lawyer sounds smart." He gave a slight nod, closed his notebook, and handed me his card. "If you remember anything else, give me a call." He left, and I stood there, staring at that card like it was a ticking bomb, because if the cops were sniffing around now, it meant someone had talked. Someone besides me had finally cracked, and I had a very, very good guess who it was. Next stop, Nathan. And if that little fire starter thinks he's dragging me down with him, he's about to find out just how done I am playing the quiet one. The last time I saw Nathan cry, he'd dropped his phone in a toilet after texting 3 girls the same "you up" message. This time, the stakes were a little higher. I found him at Mom and Dad's place, sitting in the backyard like the prodigal golden retriever who just realized his tail was on fire. No one else was home, probably out busy protecting the family name, aka keeping their real estate clients blissfully unaware that the Wyatts might be on deck for the next town scandal. Nathan looked up from his beer. Classic Bud Light, because even his taste in beer screams white suburban guilt, and his face dropped when he saw me. "Jenna," he said like my name hurt his mouth. "Someone snitched," I said. No greeting, no smile. Just truth, sharp and fast, like ripping off duct tape from a wound you never let heal. His jaw clenched. That's his tell, always has been. I didn't say anything. "Oh, really?" I leaned against the fence, arms crossed. "Then why did a cop just show up at my house asking about Lakewood like it's a Netflix documentary in pre-production?" He didn't answer. Just stared at the grass like it was going to sprout forgiveness if he stared long enough. "Who did you tell?" I pressed. "You drunk confess to some Tinder date? Spill your soul to your therapist who legally has to report arson if it involves a freaking judge's property?" Nathan stood up fast. I didn't tell anyone, okay?" "Oh, so the universe just randomly decided to point fingers now, a decade later?" I scoffed. "Come on, Nate. At least have the balls to own it. We lied. We all lied. But you're the one who lit it." And then he said it. The line that made my blood run colder than the lake he nearly burned down. "I didn't light it. I just thought it would scare him." I froze. "Wait. What?" Nathan ran his hands through his hair like he could scrub the guilt out with friction. "I meant to burn the shed. Just the shed, not the boathouse. I didn't know he was there." Oh my God. "You knew Judge Carson was on the property?" I asked, my voice way calmer than it had any right to be. "He was supposed to be out of town," Nathan's voice cracked. "I checked his schedule. He told Dad at that fundraiser he was flying out for his grandson's recital." I felt my knees wobble. I sat down hard on one of the patio chairs, the kind Mom buys every summer and pretends won't get sun-faded in a week. "So, it wasn't just property damage," I whispered. "It was almost manslaughter." Nathan went pale. "He didn't get hurt. He got out in time. Because someone called 911. I shook my head. "Not you, obviously." "No? Some hiker, I think. I ran. I freaked out. Jenna, I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I just wanted to scare him into backing off." "Back off what?" Nathan didn't answer. "Nathan, back off what?" He looked at me, eyes full of something dark. He was going to ruin Dad, expose some land deal Dad pushed through the county board. Carson had proof, emails, documents. Dad said if it came out, we'd lose everything. There it was. Not a prank, not a mistake, not some dumb teenage act of rebellion. It was a cover-up of a cover-up. Our parents knew. They didn't just protect Nathan. They used him. And me? I was the decoy, the alibi, the collateral. I stood up, heart pounding so hard it drowned out everything else. "You lit the fire to protect Dad's shady real estate scam," I said slowly. "And they let me lie for you. They let me perjure myself at 17. Nathan looked wrecked. Good, he should be, but I wasn't done. "Do they know the cops are poking around again?" He hesitated. "I think Mom suspects. She asked if I'd heard anything." "Great. So we've got about 48 hours before they start framing me for this whole mess." He opened his mouth to argue. I didn't give him the chance. "I'm not going down for this, Nathan. Not anymore. I was a kid when I covered for you. But I'm an adult now. And if they try to drag me down again, I'll burn all of us to the ground." He flinched at that. Good, because for the first time in years the power was shifting, and this time I was holding the match. I didn't sleep that night, not because I was scared, though, sure, fear had its fun little grip on my ribs, but because my brain wouldn't shut up. Every time I closed my eyes, it was like I was 17 again, sitting at that kitchen counter, wearing Dad's oversized hoodie while Mom reheated lasagna, and calmly explained why I needed to lie to the police. "It's just for now," she said, wiping down an already clean counter like her moral compass was made of lemon-scented Clorox. "Once everything settles, no one will even remember." Except I remembered. 10 years later, I remembered everything. The next morning I drove to their house. Not to confront, yet, just to observe. Get a read. My parents had always been smooth, like emotional Teflon. You could throw anger at them and watch it slide right off while they offered you tea. Mom was trimming the roses when I pulled up. She looked up, her face perfectly pleasant, like she hadn't coached her daughter through obstruction of justice once upon a time. "Jenna," she said, genuinely surprised. "You didn't call." "Everything okay?" I smiled. "Just wanted to check in. I heard from Nathan. He said you guys were a little stressed." She paused, just a second too long. "Oh, honey, we're fine." You know how he gets when the past comes up. Always so dramatic. Interesting. No denial, no questions. Just a redirect. We sat on the porch. She offered coffee. I accepted out of habit, even though it always tasted like guilt with a splash of artificial vanilla. "You know," she said, stirring her cup without drinking. "Your father and I always appreciated what you did back then. Keeping the family together, it meant a lot." I tilted my head. I was a kid. I didn't know what I was doing. She gave a small laugh. "None of us do, really. Parenting. It's all improvisation." Oh, wow. So now lying to the police is just part of the parenting learning curve? I sipped my coffee. "And the fire? That was improvisation too?" Her fingers stilled on her spoon, just for a second. Then the smile returned. "Nathan made a mistake. We all did what we had to do." There it was. The quiet confession. Wrapped in floral language, delivered like a bedtime story. But it was still a confession. I leaned back in my chair, letting the silence grow just awkward enough before I said, "You know there's an investigation reopening, right?" That smile, it dropped like a glass off a windowsill. She didn't ask who told me. She didn't fake surprise. She just blinked slowly and said, "Do you need help finding a lawyer?" And that was all I needed to know. She wasn't shocked. She was prepared. They'd known this day might come, and they'd already planned their next move. But so had I. 2 hours later, I was parked outside my childhood high school, staring at the rusting bleachers like they owed me an apology. Not sure why I came here, honestly. Maybe I wanted to see the last place I felt innocent, back when I thought family secrets were something that happened to other people. Or maybe I just needed somewhere to breathe before I did what I was about to do. I opened my phone, scrolled to a number I hadn't used in years, and hit call. "Detective Rena James, City PD," a tired voice answered. I introduced myself. Her tone shifted instantly. "Oh, you're the sister." "Yep, that's me. The sister. The accessory. The convenient side character in my family's long-running crime drama." "I think I'm ready to talk," I said. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. There was silence on her end. Then the faint scratch of pen on paper. "All right, Jenna. Tell me everything you remember about the night of the Lakewood fire." And so I did. The whole walk through. The night Nathan came home shaking, the way Dad didn't ask questions, just opened his laptop and started typing like he was already rewriting the narrative. The way Mom took his hoodie and dropped it in a bleach bath before I even asked what was going on. The way they told me it was just smoke and no one got hurt, and this is how families protect each other. I gave her dates, names, the timeline I'd memorized like a song. I didn't hold back. And when I finished, Detective James said, "One of our new witnesses mentioned you were the alibi, that you lied to the original investigators." There it was, the part that scared me most. "I did," I said, "because my parents asked me to." A pause. "You understand that could be considered obstruction?" I swallowed hard. I was 17. They told me the truth would destroy our lives. I believed them. She was quiet for a long moment. Then her voice softened, just barely. It's not you we're after, Jenna. But if you're lying now, I need to know. I'm not. I exhaled shakily. You want the truth? I'm sick of choking on it. She asked if I could come in that week to give a formal statement. I agreed. I hung up, hands trembling. Not because I was afraid of what would happen to me, but because I finally realized what this meant for them. Nathan could be charged, maybe not for the fire alone, but if it was tied to Dad's shady land deal, if they could prove intent, and my parents, they could face conspiracy, evidence tampering, fraud. This wasn't just about justice anymore. It was about watching the people who raised me finally reap what they planted. I sat there in the car for a long time, staring at the same flagpole I used to pass every morning on my way to class. 10 years ago, I was just another scared kid trying to keep the peace. Now, I'm the reason that peace is about to shatter. The first message came before I even pulled into my driveway. A cheerful little ding from Mom, as if we just talked about casserole recipes and not, felonies. Hope your day's going well. Want to come by for dinner? Dad's making chili. I stared at the text like it was radioactive. Chili. That was her go-to comfort meal when things were spiraling. The last time she made it, I'd just gotten dumped by someone who thought we should vibe with other people. The time before that, Nathan totaled Dad's car and blamed it on a pothole the size of a bear. So, yeah. Chili meant panic in our house, and now I knew why. They felt the shift. Somewhere deep in their polished suburban bones, my parents knew the tide was turning, and they were circling the wagons. By the time I got inside, my phone had chimed twice more. First from Dad. Let's talk before this thing gets out of hand. Then Nathan. Seriously, Jenna, what are you doing? I didn't respond. I put the phone face down on the table and made myself a sandwich I barely tasted. Every bite felt like chewing through layers of guilt and sour resentment. The thing is, I didn't want to destroy anyone. I didn't want revenge or headlines or some dramatic courtroom breakdown where I storm out in slow motion. That wasn't me. What I wanted, what I still want, is the truth to matter. That's all. But the longer I sat there in the silence of my little apartment, the more it became clear. They were going to fight this. Not legally. Not with lawyers and statements. With guilt. With invitations to dinner. With homemade chili and casual. Can we just talk about this? They weren't scared of jail. Not yet. They were scared of me. And that, honestly, was new. For most of my life, I was the one trying to be invisible, trying to not upset the balance. The quiet one. The reliable one. The one who understood why Nathan got special treatment. And why it was easier if I just stayed out of things. But now they were texting me like I held the detonator. Because I did. And it wasn't about blowing everything up. It was about making sure they finally understood I wasn't part of the cover-up anymore. The next day, I RSVP'd to dinner. Sometimes the best way to confront a family built on secrets is to sit at the table and watch how they squirm when they realize you're done pretending. Dinner smelled like denial and paprika. Dad was at the stove, stirring his famous chili with the same calm energy he used when lying to mortgage agents and zoning boards. Mom was setting the table like we were celebrating something, instead of hosting a family-wide emotional hostage negotiation. Nathan hadn't shown up yet. Coward. Jenna, Mom said with that warm, practiced smile. You look tired. Are you getting enough sleep? I sat down slowly. Are you getting enough legal advice? She flinched. Subtle. But I saw it. A microscopic twitch in her perfect forehead crease. Dad didn't look over, just kept stirring. Like if he didn't make eye contact, he could pretend we were still one big happy middle-class illusion. We ate in silence for 5 whole minutes. Spoon clinks. Sip of water. Forced throat clears. It felt like sitting on a landmine in a room full of matches. Then Dad finally spoke. You talked to the police. No question mark. Just fact. I nodded once. I did. Mom's spoon dropped into her bowl with a clink that sounded way too loud. She didn't pick it up. Why now? She whispered. Why would you do this now? I could ask the same thing about the fire, I said calmly. But we're way past rhetorical questions, aren't we? Dad finally turned. His face, still so eerily composed, was locked in that tight-jawed politician expression he always wore when a deal was falling apart. You don't know the full story, he said. Oh boy, here we go. Try me. He exhaled slowly. That land Carson was blocking? It wasn't just about money. He was sitting on property that could have changed the whole development plan for this town. We were trying to build affordable housing for veterans. I blinked. You're seriously going with it was for the veterans? That's your defense? Mom's voice cracked. It's true. The county board kept stalling, and Carson was playing gatekeeper. Your father, he just wanted to do something good. By sending your teenage son to set a fire? I didn't send him to do anything, Dad snapped. And there it was. Not a denial, just a dodge. I leaned forward, slow and deliberate. You told him Carson was the enemy. You told him we'd lose everything if the truth got out. And then you let him take the fall. And let me lie to save him. Because you were the only one who wouldn't crack, Dad shouted suddenly, slamming his hand on the table so hard the glasses jumped. The room went dead still. Mom covered her mouth, and for a second he looked like he didn't recognize himself. I pushed back my chair and stood. You don't get to weaponize my loyalty anymore. I protected this family, he hissed. No, you protected yourself. The rest of us were just body shields. Nathan walked in right then. Perfect timing, as usual. He took one look at our faces and froze mid-step like a sitcom extra who just realized he's in the wrong genre. I didn't wait for him to speak. I gave my statement, I said, turning to him. You should be thinking about what yours is going to be. Then I walked out, leaving the chili to go cold and the truth to finally boil over. The article dropped at 9:03 a.m. No warning. No heads up. Just my phone vibrating off the counter like it was trying to flee the fallout. Local developer's family tied to unsolved arson case, read the headline, complete with a blurry photo of Nathan from senior year. Letterman jacket, half smile, not a single hint of gasoline or guilt. It didn't name me, but it didn't have to. Anyone who knew our family, anyone in town with a memory or a nosy neighbor, could connect the dots. By noon, I'd gotten 3 texts from high school classmates I hadn't spoken to in years. By 2, a reporter was waiting in the parking lot of my office, pretending to check her phone, while clearly hoping I'd stroll out for some popcorn-worthy meltdown. I didn't. I waited until dark, slipped out the back, and drove straight to the lake. The boathouse ruins were still there. Just a charred skeleton of old wood and moss, half sunk into the water like even the earth was tired of keeping its secrets. I stood there, staring at it, hands in my pockets, heart weirdly quiet. I wasn't proud of what I'd done. Turning in your family doesn't come with a gold star. But I wasn't ashamed either, not anymore. The real surprise came at sunset when a car pulled up behind mine. I turned, fully expecting Nathan or Dad, someone ready to plead, threaten, or spin a new version of events. But it was neither. It was Judge Carson, alive, older, leaner than I remembered, with a cane and an expression like he'd been waiting a decade for this exact moment. I figured it might be you, he said, stepping carefully across the gravel. Only someone with a guilty conscience comes here voluntarily. I didn't respond. What do you even say to a man your brother nearly set on fire? He looked at the water, then at me. They told me not to press charges back then. Said it would hurt the town, hurt the boy's future. You know what hurt worse? He tapped his chest. Knowing a family I trusted tried to erase me to save themselves. I didn't know, I said quietly. Not the whole thing. Not until recently. He studied me for a moment, then nodded, just once. But you came forward. I did. That took something. I'm not sure what, I said. Spite, maybe. He almost smiled. Sometimes that's enough. He handed me an envelope. Thin, legal-sized, unassuming. This is a copy of my official statement. I finally decided to give it. They're reopening the case. And now with your testimony, well, things will move fast. I stared at it in my hand. It felt heavier than it looked. I'm sorry, I said, not even knowing if it was the right thing to say. I know, he replied. That's why I'm here. He left. Just like that. No lecture, no vengeance. just closure. Or the beginning of it, anyway. I sat down on the old dock, legs dangling over the edge, and watched the sky bleed into the lake. This wasn't justice, not exactly. It wasn't victory. But it was something solid, something real. And for the first time in years, it felt like mine. The charges came faster than I expected. By Friday, Dad was indicted for obstruction and conspiracy to commit fraud tied to the Lakewood land deal. Nathan was hit with arson and reckless endangerment. His juvenile status at the time complicated things, but not enough to save him. And Mom, she got slapped with evidence tampering. They didn't arrest her at home. She turned herself in, pearls on her neck and her lawyer on speed dial. Always knew how to dress for disaster, that woman. The town was buzzing. Neighbors nodded at me differently now. Some with sympathy, others with caution, like I might expose their secrets next. A few people from the community emailed me anonymously, thanking me for doing what they never could in their own families. I didn't reply. I wasn't a hero. I was just done pretending to be an accessory in a story that never asked what it cost me. Nathan tried to call. Once. I didn't answer. His voicemail was shaky, a mess of, "I'm sorry," and "You didn't have to do this," and weirdly, "I thought you'd always have my back." Like loyalty meant letting him ruin more lives just because we shared DNA. Dad's attorney released a statement about vigorously defending his client against false and vindictive accusations. Mom didn't speak publicly, but her Facebook went private the same day the article was updated with mugshots. I almost laughed at that. Mugshots. Our family photo album just got a hell of a new chapter. I did one last thing, though. Quietly. Privately. I went to the county records office and officially requested to remove my name from the Wyatt Family Trust. It wasn't about money, it was about clarity. I didn't want a cent of what was built on lies, cover-ups, and that damned fire. The clerk, a woman in her 60s with fading purple nail polish, looked over the paperwork and gave me a soft look. "This kind of thing," she said, stamping the final form, "takes more strength than people think." I nodded, tears threatening, but refusing to fall. Because that's the thing they never tell you. Breaking from a toxic family doesn't end with one choice. It's hundreds. Every day, every phone call you don't return, every memory you unpack and choose not to romanticize. I walked out of that office lighter than I'd felt in years. No more secrets. No more covering for people who never once covered me. I don't know what happens next. Maybe they'll serve time. Maybe they'll find new ways to spin the story. Maybe eventually Nathan will grow up. But me? I'm rebuilding. Quietly. Honestly. Without them. And this time, the only thing I'm burning is the bridge behind me.